Second love is very, very important. Not because it saves you, but because it reminds you that you were never truly lost. The first love, the roaring fire, a beautiful blaze that left ashes in every heartbeat. It taught you to hope too soon, to trust with the eyes of a child, to fall as though the world would catch you softly. But it didn't. The world sometimes watches you fall and learns nothing. The first love cracked you open. It sang your name like a promise, then forgot how the song went. But second love is not a rescue. It is not a bandage or a stitched apology. It is the slow, steady hum of a heart deciding it can try again. Not because it forgot, but because it remembers and chooses anyway. Second love is very, very important because it doesn't walk in with a storm and thunder. It walks in like morning light, through half-drawn curtains, quiet, warm, almost invisible, until it is everywhere. It doesn't ask for declarations. It doesn't need you to be whole. It sits with your pieces, asks you their names, tells you they are beautiful. It doesn't call your past a mistake. It lets your history breathe and still chooses to stay. Second love knows how to listen. It listens not to reply, but to understand. It doesn't rush to fix. It holds space for grief and joy to share the same room. It says, take your time, and means it. It is not always poetic. Sometimes it is silence in a car ride, the hand on your knee, your favorite snack, waiting in the fridge, a message saying, I saw this and thought of you. Second love is the little things that grow into everything. It doesn't compete with the first. It doesn't erase it. It honors the ghost while becoming real in its own right. Second love doesn't try to be bigger, just better. Better in the way a deep breath is better than a shout. Better in the way a tree that grew slowly lasts longer than the one that shot up overnight and fell in the first wind. Second love doesn't need fireworks. It lights candles. It doesn't burn down cities. It builds a home. You meet them, this second love, after the battle, after you've learned that fairy tales forget to mention healing. You meet them when you've been wrong before, when you know how fallible your heart can be, and still you open the door again. Second love is very, very important because it teaches you courage, not in the way warriors wield swords, but in the way someone dares to love. With scars, it kisses your scars. It does not flinch from your fears. It waits at the edge of your guarded castle, not with a ladder, but with a gentle voice. You don't have to let me in today. I'm still here tomorrow. Second love watches as you check every lock, every memory, every bruise. It does not push. It does not pry. It stays. And you begin to believe again, not with the dizzy thrill of youth, but with the seasoned strength of someone who has survived. You laugh again, not to impress, but because something is actually funny. You cry again, not out of loss, but because you are safe enough to feel. Second love teaches you that comfort is sacred, that stability is not boring, that kindness is the most romantic thing of all. It doesn't write sonnets on your windowsill. It brings you tea when your hands shake. It looks at your messy hair, your tired eyes, and says, you're still the most beautiful thing I've seen today. Second love doesn't need you to be perfect. It holds your doubt like a child, rocking it gently until the fear quiets. It makes room for your silence. It welcomes your storm. It celebrates your small victories. The text you finally sent, the door you finally closed, the mirror you faced today, without looking away. Second love is very, very important because it knows how fragile trust is, and it builds slowly. It doesn't rush. It doesn't promise forever. On day one, it says, let's just get through today, and then the next, and then the next, until you realize forever started quietly. Second love walks beside you, not in front, not behind. It knows you are not a project, not a puzzle to solve. You are a person, worth the patience. It touches you like you are poetry, not because it's trying to write a masterpiece, but because it knows your body carries stories worth listening to. Second love doesn't ask you to forget the past. It becomes a chapter you didn't know you needed, not an ending, a continuation, a softer sentence, a rewrite of the parts you thought would never make sense. Second love shows you that survival is not the end, that joy, real joy, can live again in your ribcage. It teaches you that you are not too much, not too broken, not too complicated. It teaches you that someone can love the version of you that knows how to walk away and still chooses to stay. Second love is very, very important because it doesn't complete you. It joins you. It adds to your story without trying to erase the ink you've already spilled. It doesn't need a spotlight. It shines in the dark. It stays when the lights go out, when your smile is missing, when your soul is just tired. It sees you in your honest moments and doesn't look away. Second love holds your hand when you tremble, laughs when you're absurd, listens without fixing, loves without claiming. It lets you be, and in that letting, you learn to bloom. You learn to trust yourself again, to believe in quiet magic, to believe that beginnings don't need fireworks, just warmth and truth and time. Second love is the kind that writes poems with presence, not promises, the kind that stays, not because you need them, but because they want to. It lets you grow in your own direction. It doesn't fear your strength. It welcomes your wild. It shows up even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And in that showing up, you learn that love, real love, can be soft. It can be slow. It can be second and still feel like the first time someone really saw you. Second love is very, very important because sometimes you need to know that love can come again, not to fix, not to save, but to stand beside you while you rise. And you do. You rise, not because of them, but because you finally remember how